to the final instalment of the 2023 Mystery Baby Blanket Club. We are here after 7 months of knitting. We are finally here at the end of the project with the final 5 last squares being revealed to you today. So in this blog today, I'm going to talk to you about the design, the inspiration for the design. I'm going to tell you what the title is in case you haven't guessed yet. And then in the written part of the blog, I will focus more on the squares for this month, any tips and advice and news about the final instalment that I need to pass on to you. So if you've got 5 minutes to spare, please sit back and enjoy my final blog of this blanket and the reveal of the title. So the title of this year's Mystery Baby Blanket Club is Now I Know My ABCs. So I'm going to talk to you now about the inspiration behind the blanket, why I chose Now I Know My ABCs, what inspired me to create this blanket. I suppose it begins with my son Seth when he was a baby. Now I Know My ABCs was one of the nursery rhymes that we used to sing together. In fact, in his bedroom, we had put up on the wall, or on the back wall, the whole of the ABC, A through to Z, and we'd sit there and as he was getting older and learning his ABC, we'd sit there and recite it and we'd sing the Now I Know My ABCs nursery rhyme. So that's really was the sort of reason at the beginning why I wanted to go for this theme. I thought it would make also a wonderful learning tool for a baby or a young child to learn the ABC in the context of a colourful blanket with lots of pictures, lots of colour, something inspirational for them to look at and to learn from. So that was the sort of starting point for the design. Now I also, on a more personal note, absolutely love typography, calligraphy, anything to do with letters, handwriting. This probably comes from my parents. My mother, in her early years as an artist, worked for a firm in London as a sign writer down in Holborn, probably back in the early 1960s. And my father was also very interested in calligraphy, was fantastic at calligraphy and handwriting. In fact, so much so that I remember many years ago in the 70s going to, I think it was for the Jubilee, the Silver Jubilee in 77, going to London to Buckingham Palace to drop off some script that he had written up for the palace. So, you know, it runs back in the family, my love of typography and of handwriting. So the inspiration for the design came from various different sources. I had some really good pattern books for kids' motifs, which were just a wonderful book, which was just jam-packed full of different motifs in all sorts of bright colours, all sorts of different styles of different graphic artists. That was a really good source and a good reference to look at for the motifs and the letters in the blanket. I also looked at stationery, at wallpaper, at greetings cards. In fact, if you go out into the shops, you will see the ABC, the letters of the alphabet, everywhere, from gifts to rugs to books to all sorts of different things out there. We're surrounded by letters, so there was a lot of places to go for the inspiration. The internet, of course, is brilliant to browse for different types of fonts, different images. I was looking at including picture knits as well as the letters themselves, and there are 6 picture knits in the blanket. So let's take a look at those. We had, first of all, we had the rocket, then we had the whale, then the owl, the ice cream, the dog, and we finished with the lorry. It was really important for me to include every letter of the alphabet and to get them in the correct order, which I must admit, when the whole thing was put together, I suddenly thought I'd better just check I've got the letters running in the correct order, and that was quite tricky to kind of get that to work and to get that to look balanced, but I managed to fit all 26 letters into the blanket with some spaces, if you like, for some of the squares which did not have a letter on, such as the love you squares and the centre square, in fact, which I wonder how many of you guessed that it might be a love heart. So that's your centre square. It can be embroidered onto. So in the visuals that you'll see in the mail out, the centre square has been left plain. It looks nice enough with nothing embroidered onto it. But if you wanted to personalise your blanket for the person, the baby you're perhaps giving it to, you can use the grid. There's a chart with all the letters of the alphabet and numerals on it too, numbers 0 to 9. You can use that to embroider on letters, numbers, whatever you want to embroider onto that centre square. There is space in the bottom, sort of towards the bottom of the square, but feel free to embroider onto it wherever you want to embroider onto it. I've given an idea in the chart for this square as to where to embroider, but you know, it's totally up to you what you want to do with that square, or just leave it alone as it is. So that's your centre square. I had great fun designing and working on this blanket. I loved those two colourways, working with those two colourways, and the excitement of seeing what happened when you swapped those grey colours out for the pinks. Most of the blanket, most of the squares, all the colours have been kept pretty much in the same place, but just changing those pinks to greys or greys to pinks really makes the blanket look quite different, I think, when you look at the two together. So I absolutely loved knitting this blanket. It was a really fun knit, and I really hope that you enjoyed the journey, that you enjoyed working on it. If you've not kept up, don't worry, you've got the whole blanket now revealed to you, so you can crack on with it to get it finished. And if you are near that finishing post, just 5 more squares this month, plus the edging to do. Just a note then about the edging, I always try to take colours or ideas of a stripe or something from the blanket itself and put that into the edging. So it's a bit of an amalgamation of the sort of garter stitch stripes that are repeated in a lot of the squares throughout the blanket. You get those stripes of garter stitch, and then just around the outside edge then is the decorative kind of stripe that is in the squares 7, 14, 1, 7, 14, 15 and 21. The letter C and the letter X, you will see that decorative stripe which I've taken into the edge of the border. I have said in the instructions for the edging that if you want to, you can use any colours that you like that you've got left over for the edging. Don't feel that you have to stick to what I've done. I've just taken what I had enough of, although there was plenty of every colour, what I thought looked best. But if you want to change that and do something of your own, that's absolutely perfectly okay to do. You should have enough yarn to swap colours in and out, or you can just knit it exactly as it is in the pattern instructions. But there's a little bit of freedom there for you just to personalise it, either that centre square or the edging, if you want to, at the end of the project. So if you read my written blog after watching this video, I'll give you all the tips for those last 5 squares in the written blog. I'm not going to talk about them now because I don't want to keep you any longer. I want you to grab those knitting needles and crack on with those last squares, bit of finishing off, edging to do, and then you're done. You'll have your baby blanket completed. So thank you so much for sticking with me for the last 7 months. I've enjoyed all the banter, the emails. It's been a ton of fun. And I do hope that whoever you give your mystery baby blanket to, it is cherished, it is treasured, and it is enjoyed. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.